Have you ever felt utterly alone, even when you're surrounded by friends, family, or coworkers? You sit in a room filled with laughter, conversations flowing effortlessly around you, yet something inside remains disconnected. It's as if you're standing behind soundproof glass, watching everyone else connect easily, their words and feelings reaching one another clearly, but your voice, your true self, never quite makes it through. This loneliness isn't because you're physically isolated. It's deeper, more subtle, more profound. Your loneliness stems not from a lack of company, but from the depth of your soul, an intensity of thought and emotion that others simply can't reach. You're not alone because you're broken. You're alone because you see and feel the world in ways most people don't understand. Think carefully about this. What if the loneliness you've carried all your life isn't a sign of something wrong, but proof of something profoundly right about who you are? What if your depth, your intensity, your sensitivity, everything you've been told makes you too much, is actually your greatest gift? Carl Jung described this unique experience as the path of individuation, the powerful, often solitary journey of becoming your authentic self. According to Jung, individuation isn't easy. It's the process of stepping away from the masks society expects you to wear and courageously embracing who you genuinely are, even if it sets you apart from everyone else. So ask yourself, gently but honestly, could the loneliness you feel actually be a call toward your deeper truth, rather than something you must escape or fix? Could it be guiding you toward authenticity, toward becoming who you were always meant to be? And what would change if you finally embraced this profound solitude not as a curse, but as an invitation to truly know yourself, perhaps for the very first time? Have you ever stood in a crowded room smiling, nodding along with the conversation, but inside feeling utterly alone? It's not that the people around you aren't kind or welcoming. It's deeper than that. You listen to conversations that skate effortlessly over topics like weather, vacations, or the latest trending shows. Yet something within you aches quietly for a deeper, more meaningful connection. While others laugh comfortably at jokes you barely find amusing, you long for conversations that explore ideas, feelings, and truths hidden beneath the surface. You're left wondering if you're the only one who feels this way, the only one craving substance amidst a world satisfied by the superficial. Think back to a recent gathering with friends or colleagues. Perhaps the scene was warm and lively, filled with laughter, comfort, and familiarity. Yet, despite the outward joy, you may have felt oddly out of sync, disconnected. Everyone seemed perfectly content to skim lightly across the surface of small talk, but for you, something vital was missing. The conversation felt like background noise, shallow and repetitive. You found yourself quietly searching the room, silently wondering, does no one else feel this emptiness? Is anyone else yearning for a conversation that actually matters? Have you ever wondered why small talk feels so exhausting to you, yet deep conversations energize and heal your soul? It's not because you are antisocial or introverted. It's because your capacity to feel, think, and understand is so much deeper than the norm. Your longing for genuine connection isn't a flaw. It's a powerful reflection of who you are. The loneliness you experience isn't a defect. Rather, it reveals the intensity of your sensitivity and awareness, qualities society rarely values or understands fully. Consider Mia's experience. At her friend's birthday dinner, everyone laughed and chatted easily. The conversation never dipped below the surface. Work stories, gossip, upcoming vacations. Mia found herself drifting away mentally, feeling like an outsider despite being welcomed and included. She sat quietly, wondering if anyone else shared her hidden craving for depth, connection, and meaningful dialogue. Mia's loneliness wasn't from rejection. It came from a gap between her own depth and the comfortable shallowness that seemed to satisfy everyone else. Maybe like Mia, you've felt yourself carrying a hidden, invisible burden. You understand others effortlessly, not just their words, but the subtle emotions behind their words. You feel their anxieties, sadness, joy, fear, absorbing them as naturally as breathing, often without even realizing it. You're not just observing people around you, you're absorbing their emotional energy into your heart, unconsciously carrying their pain, stress, and fears within yourself. Think about your typical day. How much emotional weight do you carry that isn't even yours? Are the anxieties keeping you awake at night truly yours, or have you quietly absorbed them from those around you without realizing? Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive persons, HSPs, confirms this remarkable trait. Some individuals, often deep thinkers, possess nervous systems finely tuned to emotional signals that others simply don't pick up. Your sensitivity isn't imagined or exaggerated. It's literally wired into your biology. You genuinely experience the emotional world more vividly, intensely, and profoundly than most people ever will. This remarkable sensitivity, however, comes at a price. To cope, you often find yourself wearing a carefully constructed mask of normality. At work, at parties, even among close friends, you put on a persona, laughing at jokes you don't find funny, pretending enthusiasm for activities that leave you empty inside, nodding along with conversations that feel superficial or meaningless. This mask helps you blend in, keeps you safe from judgment, misunderstanding, and isolation. But at what cost? You've worn the mask of normalcy for so long, you sometimes forget what your true face even looks like beneath. You lose touch with who you genuinely are, forgetting how it feels to express your true thoughts, genuine emotions, and authentic personality without fear. Each day you become more skilled at hiding your true self behind this careful facade. Yet each day the cost of that mask grows heavier. Slowly, you feel as though you're losing the vibrant, authentic core of who you really are. Pause now and ask yourself with gentle honesty, what would it feel like to finally remove that mask? What would happen if you allowed yourself to show the world your genuine face, your true feelings, your authentic depth? Yes, it's terrifying. But what freedom, joy, and relief might you discover on the other side of that fear? Your mask was never meant to be permanent. It was a survival tool created out of necessity. But your deepest longing isn't just to survive. It's to live fully, authentically, and courageously as your true self. Imagine stepping out from behind your carefully crafted persona, allowing yourself to be seen clearly and truly, not just accepted, but genuinely understood. The loneliness you felt your entire life was never because you were broken or defective. It has always been because your heart and mind run deeper than what most are prepared to meet. Your isolation wasn't a mistake or a punishment. Rather, it was an invitation, a calling toward your true self, toward a deeper, more meaningful existence, toward authentic connection. Now consider this carefully. What if the very sensitivity, depth, and emotional complexity that has often made you feel alone is precisely your greatest strength? What if your intense longing for authenticity isn't something you need to hide, but something you need to embrace and celebrate? What if the relationships, connections, and sense of belonging you've sought your whole life are waiting for you, not behind your mask, but beyond it? Take a moment and truly reflect. Are you finally ready to stop hiding who you really are? Are you ready to remove the mask, to reveal your depth, your truth, your beautiful intensity to the world around you? The loneliness you've always felt was never a flaw. It was your soul's way of guiding you toward authenticity. Perhaps the connection, joy, and meaning you've sought were never about fitting in, but about daring to step courageously into who you've always been. Are you ready to meet your true self at last? True freedom doesn't come from changing who you are. It comes from finally embracing your depth, intensity, and authenticity. All your life, you've been conditioned to believe that your loneliness, your sensitivity, your profound capacity to feel deeply where problems needing solutions. You've tried to adjust yourself to blend seamlessly with those around you, suppressing your truth to achieve acceptance. Yet no matter how hard you've tried, a persistent ache remained, the sense that something fundamental was still missing. But what if that ache was never about something wrong with you? What if it was simply the call of your true self, longing to finally be acknowledged? Imagine your thoughts, emotions, and fears as clouds drifting across a vast sky. Sometimes they gather heavily, forming storms of worry, sadness, or confusion. Other times they float by softly, quiet moments of peace, insight, or joy. You've spent your life believing you're defined by these clouds, identifying completely with each emotional storm or quiet thought. But now, imagine this clearly. What if you're not these clouds at all? What if you are the endless sky, vast, calm, and unchanging, quietly observing every passing emotion, every fleeting thought? This metaphor is more than poetic. It reveals a profound psychological truth. When you see yourself as the sky, your relationship with your inner world transforms dramatically. You realize emotions, fears, anxieties, they're temporary formations passing through your awareness. They come and go. They're real, they're powerful, but they don't define your true self. They never have. The real you, the vast, steady sky beneath, is always present, always clear, always whole. You've simply forgotten it, lost yourself in identifying with each passing storm. So, consider this carefully. What if your loneliness was never something to be fixed, but rather a powerful sign of your inherent depth and uniqueness? What if your intensity was never a flaw, but an extraordinary sensitivity that allows you to feel and see the world in ways most people can't even imagine? Perhaps the isolation you felt throughout your life wasn't a punishment, but a calling, guiding you back to yourself. Ask yourself honestly, deeply, hey boo, how different would your life look if you truly accepted that the depth you possess is something remarkable, something beautiful, not something to hide or change? How much freer would you feel if you finally stopped trying to fix who you are and instead began celebrating the rare gift of your profound awareness? Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, not with the burden of needing to prove yourself, but with a gentle, empowering realization that your loneliness is the mark of a person who naturally experiences life more profoundly than most. What changes would occur in your relationships, your career, your sense of self-worth if you stopped apologizing for being intense, deep, or sensitive? What if you fully embrace these qualities as your greatest strengths? Right now, reflect carefully. Have you ever truly allowed yourself the grace of being who you genuinely are, without adjusting, without masking, without filtering your depth to make others comfortable? Have you ever considered that your pain wasn't because something was wrong, but because you were trying so hard to suppress the very essence of your authenticity? The deep thinkers of the world, those who, like you, experience life's nuances profoundly, carry a special kind of burden. Yet they also carry immense gifts. Your capacity for empathy, insight, and genuine understanding is a rare treasure. Your depth allows you to perceive beauty others miss, to understand complexity others overlook, to connect with others on levels most people don't know exist. But you must first learn to fully embrace this truth about yourself. What if your emotional intensity and deep awareness aren't weaknesses, but your most extraordinary strengths? Can you imagine living your life proudly, clearly, confidently, knowing your depth isn't something to be hidden but shared? And now, think about this with complete sincerity. Are you ready to step fully into your authentic self? To finally stop hiding, stop suppressing, stop apologizing for your depth and intensity? What if the path to true freedom is found not by fitting in, but by courageously being exactly who you are? In the stillness of this moment, envision clearly. You are not defined by the storms of emotion or thought that pass through your awareness. You are the vast, endless sky beneath, calm, steady, powerful, watching every thought and feeling come and go without becoming entangled. Your loneliness was never about isolation. It was about awakening to your depth, your truth, your authentic self. This is your moment of awakening. The realization that your depth isn't the source of your loneliness, but the pathway to your liberation. Now, are you ready? Truly ready to embrace who you genuinely are? Perhaps the peace you've been tirelessly searching for isn't hidden in the acceptance or validation of others. Maybe it was never about finally fitting into a world you've always felt slightly out of sync with. Maybe, just maybe, the true peace you've sought your entire life lies in finally honoring the extraordinary depth you carry inside yourself. Your loneliness was never evidence of something broken. It was always proof of something deeply awakened within you, something alive, aware, and profoundly authentic. Think carefully about this. What if your isolation has never been about you being out of place, but about you perceiving truths that others overlook? What if your deep awareness, your sensitivity, intensity, and relentless longing for authenticity aren't flaws to hide, but gifts waiting patiently for your own recognition? Picture clearly your life moving forward from this realization. Imagine no longer apologizing for your depth or attempting to dull your emotions just to fit into environments that were never meant to hold your true self. Visualize a life lived in alignment with your depth, your truth, and your genuine values. A life where the loneliness you felt transforms into a powerful clarity about who you truly are and what truly matters. Can you see yourself stepping confidently into situations, not needing others to fully understand you, but comfortably owning your depth anyway? Can you envision the peace that might come from accepting your sensitivity as strength, your intensity as passion, your loneliness as a sign of your rare awareness in a world still half asleep? The truth is, your deepest longing has never been simply to belong. It has always been to belong authentically, to connect genuinely and deeply. And that begins with fully embracing yourself exactly as you are, no longer seeking approval, no longer hiding behind masks, but confidently showing the world the true depth of your soul. Right now, reflect deeply. How would your relationships change if you allowed yourself to be fully seen? How might your emotional health improve if you stopped suppressing your true thoughts and feelings? What doors would open if you finally showed the world your authentic self without hesitation or fear? If you've recognized yourself in these words, take a moment right now to share your story in the comments below. Your experience, your insight, your truth might be exactly what someone else needs to finally feel seen, understood, and less alone. Remember, your authenticity can become a beacon, guiding others back to their own deeper selves. You were never truly alone. You've simply been deeply awake, feeling the world in ways others haven't yet learned. And perhaps in sharing your truth openly and honestly, you'll find the connection you've longed for, genuine, profound, and undeniably real.